picture this. You're at home late at night and craving a snack, and instead of going out or waiting for a delivery person, a little robot brings your food right to your door.
That's the kind of future SERV robotics is working towards.
Yeah, they're a major player in this whole autonomous delivery space, and today we're going to see if they're actually worth investing in.
We'll be analyzing their business model, taking a look at the leadership team, and of course, diving deep into their financials.
We'll also check out what the market thinks about their future prospects, too.
Definitely, if you enjoy these deep dives into interesting companies and ideas, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes.
All right, so let's jump right in with Chapter 1, Business. Understanding SERV Robotics has a pretty interesting origin story.
Yeah, they weren't always their own company.
Right. They actually started as the robotics division of Postmates back in 2017.
Oh yeah, Postmates, they were a big deal in the food delivery game.
And then in 2021, Uber acquired Postmates and spun them off,
So they've got some serious roots in the delivery world.
which could give them a real leg up in this competitive market.
Absolutely. And their mission is pretty clear. They want to revolutionize last-mile delivery using their zero-emission robots,
Right.
making deliveries faster, cheaper, and more sustainable.
Faster deliveries, lower costs, and they're environmentally friendly, too. Sounds like a win-win-win.
It does, but can they actually pull it off? Their business model is based on delivery fees and software services.
And it looks like they've already landed some big contracts with companies like Uber Eats and 7-Eleven. That's got to be a good sign, right?
It definitely suggests they're gaining some traction, and the timing couldn't be better. The autonomous delivery market is predicted to explode in the coming years.
Really?
Some analysts are even saying it could be worth billions by 2030.
Wow. Billions with a B.
Yeah.
So they're definitely in the right place at the right time, but I'm sure there are some challenges they'll have to face along the way.
There are always challenges, especially in a new and evolving industry like this. One of the biggest hurdles for SERV robotics is navigating the regulatory landscape.
Because the laws around autonomous vehicles are still being developed, and they vary from city to city and state to state.
Exactly. It's like a giant legal jigsaw puzzle.
Then you've got to consider public perception, too. Will people be okay with robots roaming around their neighborhoods delivering packages?
Yeah, some folks might find it a little creepy.
And what about our cities? Is the infrastructure even ready for a ton of delivery robots?
That's a great point. Just imagine sidewalks packed with robots all trying to weave around pedestrians and obstacles. It could be chaos.
And what happens if a robot causes an accident? Who's liable? There are so many legal questions that need to be
So
answered.
definitely a lot to think about.
So SERV Robotics seems to be making moves in spite of these challenges. Let's shift gears and look at the team behind the robots in Chapter 2, Management Evaluation. Who's steering this ship?
Leading the charge is CEO Ali Kashani. He's been at the helm since SERV was spun off from Uber. He's got a ton of experience in the tech world, which is crucial in this industry.
And then you have Turaj Parang, the president and COO. He brings a wealth of experience from his previous roles at GoDaddy and UpCouncil. Looks like a pretty solid leadership team on paper.
For sure. Experience is key in a fast-paced industry like this.
But what about their financial resources? Have they been able to secure the funding they need to grow and scale their business?
It's one thing to have a great idea, but turning it into a successful company requires a lot of capital.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So have they been able to get the money they need?
Well, they've been pretty successful on that front. They've raised over $220 million in funding, including a recent $80 million offering.
Wow, that's a serious chunk of change. What are they doing with all that funding?
A big portion of it is being invested in research and development, which makes sense given their focus on AI. They need to stay ahead of the curve.
For sure. Are there any other areas where they're allocating that money?
They're also investing in expanding their manufacturing, ramping up production.
And expanding into new markets, of course.
Right, and covering their operating costs.
Yeah. All that costs money, especially for a company that's pushing the limits of technology.
They've also made some strategic acquisitions. They bought Weibo Inc., the company that makes avocado robots.
Those are the robots designed for restaurant kitchens, right?
Yep. By adding Weibo's technology, SERV Robotics is setting themselves up as a one-stop shop for restaurants, handling both delivery and kitchen automation.
That's smart, diversifying their offerings and meeting a wider range of needs.
It shows they're thinking big picture about how to become a key player in the restaurant industry.
It definitely does. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How are their financials looking? That's what we'll explore in Chapter 3, Financial Health.
Well, it's important to keep in mind that SERV Robotics is still a fairly young company.
So they're still in growth mode.
Exactly, and their financials reflect that.
So are they profitable yet?
Not quite. Their
And
revenue in 2023 was significantly higher than the year before, but they still reported a net loss of $33.13 million.
okay, so they're still operating in the red. But that's not unusual for a company investing heavily in R&D and expansion. Are there any positive signs we should be looking at?
Definitely, there are some encouraging indicators. For example, their daily supply hours increased by 97% year over year.
Wow, that's huge.
And the number of active robots they've deployed went up by 70%.
So they're growing rapidly, even if they're not profitable yet.
Exactly. They're scaling up and gaining traction, but the big question is, when will they turn a profit?
That's what every investor wants to know. But before we try to answer that, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back to dive into market sentiment, ownership structure, and finally, give you our take on whether SERV Robotics is a company worth investing in. Don't forget, all the sources we're using for this deep dive are linked in the description below so you can check them out yourself. And while you're down there, let us know in the comments what companies you'd like us to deep dive into next. We're always looking for new and exciting investment opportunities.
All right, welcome back. Let's move on to Chapter 4 and look at market sentiment. We've talked about SERV Robotics' business model, their leadership, and how their finances look, but what does Wall Street think about their potential?
Yeah, are investors bullish or bearish on this one? What's the general feeling?
Well, if you look at the analyst ratings, the overall sentiment seems pretty positive. Most analysts have given SERV Robotics a strong buy rating.
Strong buy, huh? Sounds like investors are feeling pretty confident about them. Why is that?
Well, the average price target for SERV Robotics is $19.50, which means there's a potential upside of almost 8% from where it's trading right now.
So the market thinks SERV Robotics is undervalued and has room to grow. But of course, there's always some risk involved, especially in a market like this.
Definitely, SERV Robotics stock is known to be pretty volatile. It tends to react quite a bit to any news or events.
So announcements about new funding partnerships or even operational hiccups can cause some swings in the stock price.
Exactly. So yeah, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. But what about short interest? Are there a lot of investors betting against them?
That's a good question.
Well, actually, short interest in SERV Robotics is currently pretty low.
And that means?
It means that not many investors are expecting the stock price to drop anytime soon.
So another positive sign for SERV Robotics.
It seems like the overall market sentiment is optimistic about their future.
Okay, let's shift gears and look at Chapter 5 ownership structure. Who owns the pie? Who are the big players with a stake in SERV Robotics?
The ownership structure is pretty diverse. You've got institutional investors, insiders, and then retail investors like you and me.
So it's not just big corporations calling the shots.
Nope. And some of the biggest names in tech have invested in SERV Robotics, including NVIDIA and Uber.
Makes sense, considering their early involvement with the company and their expertise in autonomous vehicles and delivery.
Yeah, it's a big vote of confidence from some heavy hitters. And of course, the CEO and other key executives have a significant ownership stake as well.
So their interests are aligned with the shareholders, which is usually a good thing.
It shows they have skin in the game and are motivated to see the company succeed. What about us regular folks, though? Can we get a piece of the action?
Yeah, can we get in on this?
Absolutely. Retail investors can buy shares of SERV Robotics stock on the open market. It's a chance to get involved in this up-and-coming industry.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground: their business model, their leadership team, their financials, how the market feels about them, and who owns the company. Now let's move on to Chapter 6, the decision framework. We'll bring it all together and see if SERV Robotics is a company worth investing in.
Sounds good. To do that, we can use a SWOT analysis to evaluate their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
SWOT analysis, classic. Let's start with their strengths. What are they doing well?
Well, first of all, their robots use cutting-edge AI technology, stuff like computer vision pathfinding algorithms and obstacle avoidance systems.
So they can navigate complex city streets without running into things or getting lost.
Exactly. This gives them a high level of autonomy and efficiency.
And we can't forget about those strategic partnerships with companies like Uber and NVIDIA. They've got some serious resources and expertise at their fingertips.
And they've built a pretty strong brand with positive customer feedback. People seem to like the idea of robot deliveries. It's convenient, kind of novel.
Yeah, it's definitely futuristic. Plus, they're really focused on efficient logistics and optimized delivery routes.
Right, which is essential for fast and reliable service.
Okay, so it sounds like they have a lot going for them. But what about their weaknesses? What are some of the hurdles they're facing?
Well, developing, manufacturing, and deploying these robots isn't cheap. It's a capital-intensive business, and it'll take time for them to become profitable.
So high costs are a big concern.
And their geographic reach is still pretty limited. They're only operating in a few cities for now.
And expanding into new markets requires a lot of investment and regulatory approvals.
Plus, the regulations around autonomous vehicles are constantly changing. It's a lot of uncertainty to deal with.
And even if they can overcome the legal challenges, there's still the issue of public acceptance. Will people actually want robots delivering their stuff?
That's a great point. You never know how consumer preferences will react to new technology. But hey, let's not forget about the opportunities. Where could SERV robotics go from here?
Yeah, where could they take this?
Well, the growth potential is huge. They could expand beyond food delivery into other areas like groceries, packages, even pharmaceuticals. The sky's the limit.
Imagine ordering your prescriptions and having a robot drop them off at your door. That'd be pretty cool.
Right. And as they improve their technology, their robots will become even more efficient, reliable, and cheaper.
Which could open up even more markets and applications.
And don't forget, the demand for autonomous delivery is only going to increase as e-commerce keeps growing and people want faster and more convenient options.
So SERV Robotics is well positioned to ride that wave. But let's not sugarcoat things. What about the threats? What could derail their success?
Competition is a big one. There are a ton of companies trying to get a piece of this market, and some of them have deep pockets and established brands.
Yeah, they're not the only player in the game.
And the rapid pace of technological innovation is both an opportunity and a threat. What if some new technology comes along and makes their current robots obsolete?
Like, what if drone delivery takes off?
Yeah,
Or something even crazier that we haven't even thought of yet?
exactly. And we can't ignore the possibility of an economic downturn. People might cut back on delivery services if money gets tight.
And what about bad press?
Oh, yeah. A high-profile accident involving one of their robots could really damage their reputation and make people lose trust,
Public perception is a fickle thing.
especially when it comes to new and untested technology. So where does all this leave us? What's the final verdict on SERV robotics?
Yeah, is this a buy or what?
Well, after considering their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, I'd say SERV robotics is a high-risk, high-reward investment.
They're a leader in a potentially huge market, but they definitely face some serious challenges and uncertainties.
So the real question is, are you willing to take the gamble?
Yeah, it's a tough call.
Yeah.
They have the potential to really change the way we think about deliveries, but there are definitely some valid concerns about whether they can overcome all those obstacles.
For sure. It's all about weighing the potential rewards against the risks and making a smart decision based on your own investment goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
And speaking of smart decisions, if you want to stay informed about all the latest trends and investment opportunities, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our community.
We're always exploring new companies and ideas, and we'd love to have you along for the ride.
And don't forget to check out the links to all the sources we used for this deep dive. You'll find them in the description below.
We believe in transparency and giving you all the information you need to make your own informed decisions.
So go ahead and do your own research and let us know what you think. And while you're down there, tell us what companies you'd like us to deep dive into next. We're always looking for new ideas.
We love hearing from our viewers and getting your insights.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive into SERV Robotics. We hope you found it informative and interesting.
And until next time, happy investing.